Good evening. I'm Alan Joins, Mayor of Winston-Salem, and it's my honor to call to order this meeting of the Winston-Salem City Council and ask the City Clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Larson.
Present.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Mundy. Councilmember Scipio.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Present.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Here.
And Councilmember Burke.
Here.
Thank you very much. Would you please join the City Council and me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Would you join the City Council meeting in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Our Sergeant at Arms tonight is Lieutenant P.T. Watkins. Lieutenant, thank you for being with us tonight. I'd like to recognize our City Manager for his bi-monthly update.
Thank you, Your Honor. A few items tonight just to make Council and the viewing public aware. This is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So the city's Recreation and Parks Department is showing films in celebration of these of Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage at Old Town Neighborhood Center, which is at 4550 Chatillon Drive, every Thursday night in May at 7 o'clock, and all the viewings are free. So again, it's 7 o'clock on Thursday nights at the Old Town Neighborhood Center. From a couple things on our community engagement, our Neighborhood Services Department is still inviting residents to attend one of 7 community meetings to learn about code enforcement, housing services, programs to build stronger neighborhoods, and the Transforming Urban Residential Neighborhoods program, or what we call the TURN program. The TURN program offers home repairs for low and moderate income homeowners who live in approved areas of the city. They can receive up to $65,000 in forgivable loans to make necessary repairs to their property. Eligible repairs include roofs, windows and doors, decks, patios, plumbing, and electrical systems. The 2 meetings that are still remaining, one is on Tuesday, tomorrow the 21st, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Carl Russell Community Center on Carver School Road. And on Wednesday, the 22nd, again from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Georgia Taylor Neighborhood Center, which is on Clemensville Road. So we hope that if folks are interested, they'll attend one of those meetings. And then just a couple of success stories. Many of council members were at these as well, but Habitat for Humanity of Forsyth County celebrated the dedication of 5 homes in the Happy Hill neighborhood on last Saturday, the 18th. And Clifton Homes did a groundbreaking ceremony also on the 18th for projects that they're kicking off in the city as well. And then finally, the Northeast Winston redevelopment groundbreaking ceremony was held also last week. Just as a note, Winston-Salem again made the livability list of top 100 places to live that came out the past week or so. And Winston-Salem was ranked as the 15th best location to start a business, according to Wallet Hub. Again, coming out in the last couple of weeks. And then just occasionally we do get folks that are retiring that want the information out there. Sometimes people want to ride off into the sunset on their own and not make a big deal about it. And not that these 2 do, but just to let you know, 2 of our long-term employees are going to be retiring at the end of this month. Leslie McLaurin, who is a financial clerk in the Revenue Department, is retiring after 30 years of service with the city. And George Stilfen, who is the Keep Winston-Salem Beautiful coordinator, is retiring after 24 years with the city. So we want to thank both of them for their commitment, hard work, and dedication, and the impact that they've made at the city. And so if you see them, I would encourage you to congratulate them on their retirement as well. With that, I'll stand ready to answer any questions.
Any questions with Mr. Pape? Good. Thank you, Mr. Pape. Tonight's agenda of the City Council is comprised of 2 parts, the general agenda and the consent agenda, and it's always the practice of the council to take the consent agenda as the first order of business. Items on this agenda are being have been unanimously recommended by a committee of the city council or are being submitted in accordance with established city procedure. There'll be no discussion of the items on this agenda unless a council member requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda and considered individually. Items not removed from the consent agenda will be enacted as one motion. Council members, are there any items you'd like to have pulled? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Councilmember Clark, seconded by Councilmember Scipio to approve the consent agenda. We'll do this by voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. That is unanimous. Thank you. We'll now go to the general agenda, which is comprised of the following items. We have a public hearing to amend the Unified Development Ordinance. We have 3 public hearings related to zoning petitions. We have a public hearing on the demolition of Lakeview Boulevard properties, and we have a recommendation for appointments and reappointments to city advisory boards and commissions. When each of these public hearings is called, persons in council chamber will be given an opportunity to speak. If there is opposition to the zoning public hearing item, the proponents and opponents will each be given 15 minutes for a presentation and 3 minutes for rebuttal. If no one wishes to speak on these items, I'll close the public hearing and the city council will consider the item. The meeting is being televised live tonight on TV 13, and it will be replayed tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and again Wednesday night at 9 p.m. And of course, as I say each time, copies of our agenda and videos of previous meetings are always available online at the city's website. And you can just click on Watch Meetings Online option. Madam Clerk, may we have item G1?
Item G1, consideration of City Council's 2024 revised May meeting schedule.
Mr. Pate, you want to comment on that, or?
Yes, sir. This is adding a special meeting that council has to do some training that's important for the council to have.
Okay, great. Is there a motion?
I move for approval of agenda item G1.
Second. Seconded by Councilmember McIntosh. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. And that is unanimous. Thank you. Item G2.
Item G2, public hearing and consideration to amend chapters 3, 5, 6, and 11 of the Unified Development Ordinances, UDO, to revise standards for daycare uses, UDO CC 26. Planning Board unanimously recommends approval of petition.
Thank you. Ms. Murphy, you're going to give a brief comment on this item.
I certainly can.
Thank you. Very brief.
Yeah, this text amendment, and I can pull up the PowerPoint if you so desire, but this text amendment it comes to you from staff, and it is aimed at revising our child daycare and adult daycare ordinances to make them more user-friendly and put us more in line with our peers. It was prompted by a change in state statute, which increased the number of children allowed in small care homes from 8 to 10. At the same time, I believe some daycare owners had reached out to the city and to the county commissioners about that. At the same time, as we were going through our Forward 2045 public sessions, we heard of the need for additional daycares within our community. There is a shortage. We actually have a staff member who actually moved out of our city to Greensboro, partly because there was more child care available in Greensboro than there was here. Anyway, so we took that opportunity to look at this more comprehensively. We did look at our peer cities. The proposed text amendment does put us more in line with what our peer communities do allow. We're allowing daycares by right in all non-residential zoning districts, daycare centers, small home and large home daycares are being consolidated into a single use called child daycare homes, I believe is what we were calling them. And we are, for small care homes, currently in the ordinance, those are allowed by right. The large homes require a Board of Adjustment special use permit. We are making all of those allowed by right with a zoning permit, so long as they meet the requirements of the ordinance. And I'm kind of skipping around here a little bit because I'm trying to ad hoc this so I don't go over this point by point. Child daycare home use is allowed by right in all zoning districts except GI. We don't think that industrial is the proper place for either adult daycare homes or child daycare homes. However, if you do have an industrial, if you are in GI, you can have your own daycare center accessory to your use. Again, looking at this allows for additional children to be cared for in the homes. Basically, it removes some limitations currently with the churches. It allows for a daycare to be operated in a church regardless of whether the church itself operates it. And again, this is just generally speaking to encourage and allow for more options for child daycare centers. Again, this did go to the planning board at their March 24th meeting, March 14th, 2024 meeting. It was unanimously recommended for approval. There was no opposition. It was also heard at Community Development, Housing and General Government Committee in April, where it was also unanimously recommended to the full council.
Any questions, Mr. Murphy? Thank you. This is the public hearing. Is anyone in the council chamber who'd like to be heard on this proposed UDO amendment? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and recognize Councilmember or Mayor Pro Tem Adams for a motion if she's ready.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, I move for approval of 1, the statement of consistency for approval of this item, and 2, UDO CC 26.
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilmember Scipio. Any discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Item G3, please.
Item G3, public hearing and consideration of zoning petition of 2100 Glendale LLC from LI to RS7. Properties located at the northeast intersection of Vargrave Street and East Monmouth Street, containing approximately .40 acres, located in the East Ward. Planning Board unanimously recommends approval.
Is there anyone in the council chamber who is opposed to this rezoning? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and recognize Councilmember Scipio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move for approval of 1, the statement of consistency for approval of this item, and 2, W-3613.
Your second. Seconded by Councilmember McIntosh. Any discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. And that is unanimous. Thank you, Councilmember Scipio. Item G4.
Item G4, public hearing and consideration of zoning petition of City of Winston-Salem from RM18L to GOL. Properties located on the northeast side of Motor Road, east of Circle Drive, containing approximately 5.47 acres, located in the Northeast Ward. Planning Board unanimously recommends approval.
Is there anyone in the council chamber who is opposed to this rezoning? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and recognize Councilmember Burke.
I move for approval of 1, the statement of consistency for approval of this item, and 2, W-3614.
Second. Motion seconded by Councilmember McIntosh. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please vote yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. And that is unanimous. Thank you, Councilmember Burke. Item G5.
Item G5, public hearing and consideration of zoning petition of Galilee Missionary Baptist Church from RS7 to RMUS. Properties located at the northwest intersection of North Dunlith Avenue and East 5th Street, containing approximately .31 acres, located in the East Ward. Planning Board unanimously recommends approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the council chamber who is opposed to this rezoning? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed and recognize Councilmember Scipio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move for approval of 1, the statement of consistency for approval of this item, and 2, W-3615.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Adams. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. And that is unanimous. Thank you, Councilmember Scipio. Item G6.
Item G6, public hearing and consideration on the ordinances ordering the demolition and removal of the following structures, continued from May 6, 2024. 6G, 211 Lakeview Boulevard, and 6H, 213 Lakeview Boulevard.
Mr. Mr. Hunter, will you give us a little update on these items?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. This is an item that was continued from your May 6th meeting for two homes in Lakeside, 211 Lakeview Boulevard and 213 Lakeview Boulevard. What I'll do is I'll give you a little procedural history for each of those homes. So I'll start with 211 Lakeview Boulevard first. A complaint and notice of hearing was issued on August 1st, 2011. Service was obtained on August 11th, 2011 by regular mail in conjunction with certified mail and posting. The required hearing was conducted on August 31st, 2011, and the property owner did not appear at the hearing. A finding and order was issued on September 29, 2011. The time for compliance expired on October 29th, 2011. The structure has sat vacant for at least 6 months following the expiration of the order, and the property meets the criteria for the 6-month vacancy provision and is eligible for demolition less than 50% category. And you can see some photos displayed on your screen as well. That's 211 Lakeview Boulevard. Just another note, we did send staff out to inspect these units at least twice since the last time we've met. So just a note there. Procedural history for 213 Lakeview Boulevard. A complaint and notice was issued on August 2nd, 2011. Service was obtained on August 12, 2011 by regular mail in conjunction with certified mail and posting. The required hearing was conducted on September 1st, 2011, and the property owner did not appear at the hearing. A finding and order was issued on September 29th, 2011, and the time for compliance expired on October 29th, 2011. The dwelling have sat vacant for at least 6 months following the expiration of the order, and the property meets the criteria for a 6-month vacancy provision and is eligible for demolition less than 50% category. So that's for 211 and 213 Lakeview Boulevard. I will note that 213 Lakeview Boulevard has been brought back into compliance per the list of repairs. So that one has been brought back into compliance. As of today, when we tried to conduct inspections last Friday, 211 Lakeview Boulevard has not been brought into compliance.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Hunter? Mr. Clark?
Get the numbers right. We got 211 and 213. Which one has been brought into compliance?
213 has been brought in compliance.
211 has not.
Has not.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Hunter. Recognize Councilmember Scipio if you're ready for two motions, I guess.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make two different motions. For 211, the building that has not been placed in compliance, I move that the City Council approve the staff's recommendation for the demolition of 211 Lakeview Boulevard.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Adams. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting yes. Anyone opposed, vote no.
Mayor, before we actually go to the vote, do we have anyone in the audience here? Because remember, this is a public hearing. I don't know if you wanted to hear from.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience want to be heard on this item? See no one, I'll officially close the motion, public hearing. Is everyone
So we
voted?
can vote?
Vote.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That is unanimous to demolish 211. And Councilmember Scipio.
Mr. Mayor, for the property at 213 Lakeview, which has been brought into code, I move that City Council deny the staff's original recommendation for the demolition of 213 Lakeview Boulevard based upon staff's current report indicating that the repairs set forth in the outstanding demolition order have been completed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Clark. Any further discussion?
Have a discussion.
Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In one breath, we as a council, we are charged with ensuring that people are living in safe, affordable housing when possible, without issue. And then in another breath, we are charged to try to preserve what units of affordable housing that we have or housing in this community, which is kind of like a juxtaposition type thing, whereas one deal, one day or month, we're looking at housing that desperately needs to be demolished. And then 6 months later, we're looking at this housing that we're trying to save because at the last moment, the owners and developers decide that they want to fix the houses up. I would like, and I don't know, Mr. Pate and City Attorney, where we can go with this. Our standards and the process that we use, are we up to date with our peer cities on how we make these decisions to keep housing as long as we do for years that are not compliant? I think we may need to revisit that at some time or another before the fall or whatever, to bring us up to speed on how we do this, because I just kind of see we getting ready to get into another situation like several years ago where we had hundreds of houses that we did not do anything, we didn't act on. And these houses were now to the community, they came for us because we didn't do anything. So I'd like to see staff, Mr. King, Mr. Pate, move this one down the road for later engagement and education for the council on how we make these decisions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council, we have a motion on the floor to approve the denial of the staff's recommendation on this one and keep this house. All those in favor, please indicate by voting yes. And that's unanimous to keep this house. Thank you, Councilmember Scipio. May we have item G7, please?
Item G7, Mayor joins recommendations for reappointments to the Affordable Housing Coalition. Joseph Crocker, term expiring February 2025. John Louder, term expires February of 2026. Lisa Sari, term expires February 2025. And Sylvia Squire, term expiring February 2027.
Is there a motion?
I move for approval of agenda item G7.
Second. Thank you. Seconded by Councilmember McIntosh. Any discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. Thank you. That's unanimous. Item G8.
Item G8, Mayor joins recommendations for appointments to the Historic Resources Commission. Jordan Lloyd, term expires June 2028. Marilyn Little, term expires June 2028.
Is there a motion?
I move for approval of agenda item G8.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilmember Larson. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. And that's unanimous. Thank you, Council. Item G9.
Item G9, Mayor joins recommendations for appointments to the Community Sustainability Program Committee. Gary Waddell, term expires May 2026, and Jose Saucedo, term expires May 2026.
Is there a motion?
I move.
Motion by
Second.
Councilmember Taylor and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Adams. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting yes. Anyone opposed, vote no. And that's unanimous. Thank you, Council. The next item, of course, is the public comment period. This is a time once per month where the City Council invites residents to comment on items that are germane to city government. And we would ask that you would limit your comments to 3 minutes and give your name and address for the record. And we set aside a total of 30 minutes for the public comment period. First person on our list is Greg Niehaus.
Hi there, my name is Greg Canans. 2330 Light Street. I'm a former professor at UNCG Greensboro. I'm here to speak on support of a ceasefire resolution in Gaza, because the situation in Gaza right now is precisely the kind of thing that I have spent more than 30 years researching, writing, and lecturing on. Now, it is perfectly reasonable for people on the City Council of Winston-Salem to wonder why this should be something you should consider. And to address why, I would actually like to talk about something different. About 50 years ago, in 1975, the military dictatorship of Indonesia invaded its nearby democratic neighbor of East Timor. Indonesia was a very close ally of the U.S., so the U.S. supported the invasion, gave its okay, gave all the weapons necessary, blocked the UN, provided economic aid, and so on and so forth, for what turned out to be a very, very brutal occupation. The result of all of this was the worst mass slaughter relative to population since the Holocaust. 1/3 of the population of East Timor was killed, as every single horror of modern warfare was visited upon them. At the same time, there were people in the U.S., like people you have seen speaking before you repeatedly, who took it upon themselves to change this situation. And they went to their churches, and they went to their unions and their schools and their city councils. And bit by bit, awareness was raised, resolutions were passed, and policies were changed. And ultimately, this resulted in pressure which caused the United States to change its support for the occupation and genocide in East Timor. And as soon as it did, the genocide stopped. And just yesterday, as a matter of fact, East Timor celebrated what they call its restoration of independence, 22 years of freedom from the horrors of military occupation. That's why it is relevant and important for all of you here today, for the City Council of Winston-Salem to pass a resolution in support of a ceasefire in Gaza. All of you here can do what others did before with regard to East Timor. You can help change popular opinion, help build pressure, and stop the genocide which is happening right before our eyes. Gaza, most of your fellow citizens and the people of the world will thank you. Thank you very much.
Edith Chisholm. Edith Chisholm.
Good evening. My name is Edith Chisholm. I live in Healy Towers. I've been living there since 2007. There has always been complaints against housing for the way we have been treated and the way we live. I have prepared documentation from 2007 to date and a synopsis of what we are complaining about today. Inside, you will find texts concerning the CEO with complaints and demands and a knowledge of things that we have been going through. Many things have not been acknowledged. Also, we have pictures of emergency exit being chained in where we would not have a way to escape if anything happened due to our manager and our maintenance man. Also, letters to Kelly Church that were not responded to concerning many of the complaints. And the most important one of all is that we have not had a residential council board since 2018. And we have been denied that right because they refused to allow us to be able to have Wake Forest to come and conduct our election. But mostly I want to say to you, Mayor, is that we have 2 applications that has been hand-delivered to your desk for an applicant to sit on that House board. We at Sunrise and Crystal Towers and Healy Towers have come together and we have decided that we want one application to be approved, and that's the one from Crystal Towers. We think that we know that he will speak on our behalf because he lives there. He acts like we do, he thinks like we do, and he will serve us rather than have someone who do not know us, so that we won't continue to have these problems. The complaints that we've had them since 2007. We're not going to continue to come here anymore. If these things are not acted upon, we will go to the media and elsewhere to make sure that we get the attention and we get what we need, what we are deserved by the federal government. We deserve to have a right to live in decency, and we demand to have the right to be respected. And that is what we are after. We demand that right. We demand that right to sit on that board, and we demand to have someone to sit on that board who's going to look out for our best interests. Mayor Joyner, we also inviting you to come to Healy Towers to visit with us and hear our voice and hear what we have to say, and therefore you can make a decision on the information that I already have here for each one of you, councilmen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Chisholm, and I'll certainly be happy to come there. Let me just say that the city attorney looked at how we could perhaps appoint 2 ex officio members to the Housing Authority Board, but unfortunately, we could not find statute authority to do that. So what we got to do is wait for a vacancy, and I assure you I'll fully consider the appointment at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Myers.
My name is Matthew Mayers. I live at 2844 Wesleyan Lane. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and thank you all also more generally on your about your engagement with the affordable housing issue. Not just tonight, not just at last week's Finance Committee, but more generally, and looking forward to your plan for a housing trust fund. Last week, I sent you all an email along with some staff inviting you to a meeting that happens tomorrow, and I just wanted to make sure that you got a personal in-person invitation as well. Each month, the Piedmont Environmental Alliance convenes a group of a coalition of other organizations. And tomorrow, the invited guest is Jen Weiss, who is the director of the North Carolina Clean Energy Fund. And so why would you maybe want to come see her? As you know, affordable housing is sustainable housing, and sustainable housing is affordable housing. As you move forward in partnership with the Winston-Salem Foundation, you can also move forward in partnership with the Clean Energy Fund of North Carolina. It's based out of Raleigh, but she'll be here in person tomorrow. They may have the capacity to provide some of that early funding to get your fund kickstarted. But also, they have been awarded many millions of dollars through the Inflation Reduction Act that they'll be administering in the state for projects that are aimed at sustainability, but also lifting up lower and moderate income residents. It's pretty much the perfect match. So I hope some of you will consider going and meeting Ms. Weiss. And if you can't make it, there is also a Zoom option. I'll stick around if you want me to get you those credentials to log in. And as we go forward into 2025, also, the North Carolina Clean Energy Fund is charged with administering, again, many millions of dollars for what's known as the Solar for All program through the Inflation Reduction Act. That's going to be responsible for nearly 1 million solar installations through the country on low and moderate income households, fully funded. If you look at the proportion of the Winston-Salem population, that should be around 1,000 systems here in Winston-Salem, fully funded for low-income folks. I hope you'll think about how we can tap into that and make sure that we get our fair share. We don't want everything going to Mecklenburg and Orange and all those other counties, right? So thank you, and I hope to see some of you tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayers. Olivia Doyle.
Can y'all hear me? Yes, cool. Yes, Olivia Doyle, 112 West Devonshire Street. Thank you for having us. My name is Olivia Doyle. I'm here with Hate Out of Winston. Before the city finalizes its budget, we would urge the council to prepare long-term funding for the Bear team by reallocating a few line items whose budgets increased over 10% in the past year. These items include the Bowman Gray Stadium, business development, the golf course, investigative services, TV 13, fleet services administration, and information systems admin, among others. Though we understand that the funding for Bear is committed through the end of the next year, we're asking that the council start planning years-long funding now so that that funding can continue without the need for recurring advocacy. I'd also like to extend a statement of my solidarity with my comrades from Crystal Towers, as well as comrades demanding a ceasefire resolution. The city's investment in gentrification projects in collaboration with the Winston-Salem Alliance, primarily through Mayor Joins, is explicitly anti-Black, as Black mothers are proportionally at highest risk of evictions in this city. Our historically anti-Black economic system is organized by the same logic as the anti-Palestinian settler system, which we see bulldozing Palestinian homes and bodies to make way for Israeli settlers. As a white settler, raised by Winston, and the descendant of enslavers from Nash and Edgecombe County, North Carolina, I have learned that it is my own and our collective responsibility to address these systemic oppressions at the root. The root is the occupation of indigenous land, the exploitation of Black people's labor without reparations at best, and affordable housing at the bare minimum, and private property ownership by local settlers and all settlers that the city attracts with its high-income housing projects. Our city's economic revitalization plans reproduce these dynamics every single day. We need to follow the leadership of residents in housing like Crystal Towers, rather than the leadership of million-dollar corporations in the Winston-Salem Alliance, or say, I don't know, Greater Winston-Salem Incorporated, when pursuing any kind of justice, from Winston-Salem to Palestine, in solidarity.
Shannon Witt.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Witt. I reside at 2346 Almond Street. 2 months ago, I attended a meeting here, and I urged you to vote on a resolution for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Since that time, the horrors in Palestine have only increased, and the geopolitical and domestic situations have become unstable. In Palestine to date, the number of civilians murdered is well over 35,000. More than half of those are children. Earlier this month, Israel began its assault on Rafah, where 1.3 million Palestinians cower in tents in the most densely populated place on earth. Mass graves of Palestinians have been discovered, and CNN is reporting that Palestinian prisoners are being tortured in Israeli detention camps. And all of this continues to be funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars. In the geopolitical arena, our government continues to defend the indefensible by providing Israel with political cover and declaring its ironclad support for Israel, no matter the cost or danger to our national interests. And in return, Israel very nearly threw the United States into a regional war in the Middle East and into direct conflict with Iran after it bombed the Iranian embassy in Syria, killing several high-ranking members of the Iranian military. Attacking another nation's embassy is illegal under international law and is understood to be an act of war. With friends like these, as the saying goes, who needs enemies? On the domestic front, students on campuses across the United States, in response to images of dead and mutilated women and children streaming daily on their social media feeds, rose up in protest against their government's complicity in this mass murder. In response, our government, at the behest of Israel, labeled them anti-Semites for the sin of not wanting to see children obliterated by 2,000-pound bombs. After that, it sent in paramilitary police units to crack their skulls and arrest them by the thousands. Then, again at the behest of Israel, the House of Representatives took direct legislative aim in a full-out assault on the First Amendment by passing a bill that makes it illegal for Americans to criticize Israel. It thus appears that the Biden administration and the majority of Congress will sacrifice absolutely anything to the state of Israel, including America's national security interests, its national sovereignty, and its Constitution. And all of this despite the fact that polling clearly shows that an increasing majority of the American population support a permanent ceasefire. This begs several questions. To whom is the Biden administration and Congress loyal? Are they loyal to the Constitution? Are they loyal to the American people? And if they will not represent us, if they will not protect our national security interests, then will you please stand up and do so?
Thank you. Paulette Duggins.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. My name is Paulette Duggins. I reside at 5057 Wrangler Drive. I am here to express my support of and my appreciation for your support of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce. I am currently a board member of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, was elected January 2024. Prior to being elected to the Chamber of Commerce, I was also for 2 years a member of the Black Chamber of Commerce. And I joined the Black Chamber of Commerce as a member, as a business member, in order to connect to this community, to access the resources at the Black Chamber of Commerce, and to network with other businesses. Since joining and since becoming a board member, I really realized the value of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce. Through being a business owner, I am co-founder and president of a nonprofit, Angelic Warrior Foundation, to which we raise awareness about colorectal cancer. And I'm also owner and operator of Sunshine Inspirations, which is to motivate and encourage young girls. And since being a member of the Black Chamber of Commerce, I've taken advantage of the trainings there, the Road to Business Resiliency. I also participated in a Shark Tank type training, to which I learned how to pitch my business. So on behalf of the Black Chamber of Commerce, as a board member and as a member, I just wanted to come to show my appreciation for you supporting the Black Chamber of Commerce and to express my support of the Black Chamber of Commerce. And as a board member, I feel like it is my responsibility to help the Black Chamber of Commerce to empower other businesses, just as I have been empowered. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Calvin Patterson.
Calvin Patterson, P.O. Box 17134, Winston-Salem. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, and council members. Grateful for this opportunity, and to just piggyback off of what Ms. Duggins just shared, I am president of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, as well as chairman and CEO of Ernest Harvest LLC, a for-profit consulting company. First, I want to thank the City Council for the support through the funding that was provided through some of the ARPA funding, where we partnered with Golar Community Development Corporation. We're working very closely with Michael Suggs and Golar, as well as with other partners like Carol Davis down at the S.G. Atkins Community Development Corporation. And we're also working with Margaret Collins of the Center for Creative Economy. We're all about partnerships. We're all about leveraging relationships, and the funding that the council provided is going a long way in helping us have major impact in our community, particularly the eastern and southern parts of Winston-Salem. We are, of course, part of the City of Winston-Salem strategic plan, primarily for workforce development. And so a lot of our projects and partnerships are now focusing on workforce development. We've recently established a new youth empowerment initiative where we're trying to reach out to youth and prepare them to be successful entrepreneurs and create jobs here in the Triad area. And certainly, again, the funding and support that the City Council has provided, as well as our partners and members of the Black Chamber of Commerce, have helped make that possible. We have been recognized in the Triad Business Journal in their book of list for one of the 25 INNO advocacy organizations, which basically means we help startups. We helped over 35 startups, primarily through our signature training program, the Road to Business Resilience, which will have another cohort starting in the next couple of months. And finally, we have a couple of members who are working with Triad Cultural Arts on the Shotgun House project in Happy Hill. Mr. Pate mentioned the 5 affordable housing homes through Habitat. Well, Triad Cultural Arts and Dignity Justified, 2 members of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, are busy trying to preserve those 2 shotgun houses. It's great to have new developments, but it's also important to remember the legacy that existed prior to now, that many shoulders provided in us doing what we're doing today. Many people provided. So thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the ongoing support. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Elif Ergener.
Good evening. Elif Ergener, 5585 Angel Oaks Drive, 27105. Excuse me. Many of us are mentally and emotionally spent from bearing witness to Israel's atrocities being live-streamed daily. Israel is a terrorist state which has displaced millions of people, slaughtered more than 42,000 innocents, 70% of whom are women and children, and then tried to justify it by saying Palestine's retaliation was a first strike. Seeing the world through a lens of justice, I condemn Israel's racist leaders and the citizens who celebrate the death and destruction of Palestine. I condemn the genocide they're committing through the use of white phosphorus and dumb bombs on Palestinians, the U.S.-sponsored bombing of churches, libraries, mosques, universities, refugee camps, hospitals, homes, and people. More than 50% of Gaza has been destroyed. I condemn the systematic murder of journalists, workers, writers, poets, and other truth tellers, and the wiping out of entire families. The thousands buried under the rubble aren't even included in the official count. I condemn the embargo of food, water, fuel, and medical care, and the deliberate starvation of Palestinians. Children in Gaza are being starved at the fastest rate the world has ever seen, and this famine has the highest number of people ever recorded facing catastrophic hunger. I condemn Israel for forcing people to eat animal feed, grass, and birdseed to survive, if they're so lucky, and the IOF for massacring starving people who are simply trying to get flour for their families. I condemn the attitude that we should care about Israeli lives and not Palestinian ones. When 40 Israeli babies purportedly died, people were apoplectic, but now that we know that's not true, and 17,000 Palestinian babies and children have been killed, and over 16,000 orphaned, people still have the gall to say Israel is defending itself. I condemn the repeated lies and propaganda and the attitude that it's anti-Semitic to stand up for human rights or criticize Zionist barbarity. People of conscience know there's 76 years of Israeli fascism, oppression, deliberate erasure, illegal occupation, land theft, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, collective punishment, and finally genocide. If retaliation is a side of justice and righteousness, that's decades worth owed to Palestine. There's literally no justification for what Israel is doing. These reprehensible, inhumane, hateful actions are legally and morally war crimes and crimes against humanity, which no government has the right to do to any human being. Not only will we never forget Israel's atrocities, we'll never forget or forgive the deafening silence of those who haven't uttered a single word in solidarity with innocents being starved and slaughtered. The same goes for our elected officials and all those who purport to be humanists or true adherents of any religion yet are failing to uphold the principles they pretend to live by. If they can't muster the compassion for innocent people being intentionally starved to death. Never again is right now. It's not complicated. It's not justified. This is a failure of humanity. Our government is complicit in mass murder, and we, the people, demand a vote on the ceasefire resolution. Please listen to the voices of the people of Winston and represent us by calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the cessation of arms and funding to Israel, and the full right of return for Palestinians. Thank you.
Emily
Dee Dee, I hope you're
Ergener.
feeling well.
Emily Ergener.
My name is Amelie, and I'm 11 years old, and I wanted to talk about the genocide between Israel and Palestine. I think that what Israel is doing is ridiculous. I think that the bombing of houses, churches, hospitals, and people's homes every day is ridiculous. This has to end. A kid came up to me the other day and asked, "What side are you on in the war?" Let me get one thing clear. This is not a war. This is a genocide. The people need to come together and help and come together and make a ceasefire now.
Kelly Ergener. Rafia Kermani, excuse me if I mispronounced.
Good evening. My name is Rafia Kermani. My address is 2449 Moss Grove Crossing. After a group of us met with Miss Adams and Mr. Clark, we left with conflicting emotions. We appreciated their time to hear us. We heard them both say that Winston-Salem will only address and consider items that affect Winston-Salem. We appreciated Miss Adams truly hearing us and considering what we said. We want to reiterate to all council members to recognize that constituents in all zones want a permanent ceasefire resolution passed in our city. We need you all to realize that our county and city tax dollars are being directly used to fund this genocide, whether you agree it is or not. We need you all to realize that this is absolutely a city issue. Therefore, your comment that it is not is simply wrong and obsolete. Biden spoke during his commencement speech at Morehouse College and said two things I noticed. My administration supports an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Yet, the Israel Security Supplemental Appropriations Act is proposing $26 billion being sent to continue this massacre and ethnic cleansing. His other quote, "In a democracy, we debate and dissent about America's role in the world. Yet, we are being given a measly 3 minutes and 20 minutes as a city to share our concerns and issues. Other cities are approaching this much more democratically, in my view. I state again that the only way for me and my fellow citizens to make any real change is through local city councils, then state, then federal. America is riddled right now with fascist acts against our students and our citizens. How are we hearing and having any real discourse or debate or dissent? We are instead using ignorance, hate, violence, and continued acts of oppression. Hear our words. We are not going to vote as usual. We are changing our major party affiliations. We are going to vote third party. This reign will end within this generation and in my lifetime. Lastly, I need this council to recognize that all issues you hear in Winston, housing and living situation atrocities, inequity, resegregations of our communities and our schools, lack of First Amendment rights, homelessness, 40% of our kids being food insecure as outlined by United Way. Winston-Salem is not Gaza, but Gaza is sure sounding a lot like Winston-Salem, and that is nothing to be proud of. I need you, and we need you to do your jobs.
Sharon Hatch.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Hatch. I live at 1333 Brewer Road. I don't have a lot to say. I'm here to join my voice to the chorus of my colleagues to say please vote on and pass a resolution for ceasefire in Gaza right away. The time is past due. There's a death march right now happening through Rafah, and only more people will die, only more suffering will happen, and I think you all know what you see and you can't deny it any longer. It's time to do the right thing. Thank you.
Abigail Legatha.
Hi, my name is Abigail Lightfoot at 2129 Storm Canyon. So we've been here since January asking for a ceasefire resolution. We have appealed, begged, pleaded. We have given you guys statistics, facts, everything, and at this point, we're not going to go away. We are going to keep coming here until we get a ceasefire resolution, so the best way to get rid of us is to pass the resolution. And I want to speak to the council members who claim Lord Jesus as their Savior. There is a parable in the Bible about a widow who constantly goes to a judge seeking for justice and mercy, and the judge keeps ignoring her until finally he gets so annoyed that he finally gives her justice. And that is what we will be doing. Thank you.
Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas.
My name is Michael Douglas. I live at 625 West 6th Street. I apologize for not getting here quickly. I didn't hear you, sir. You know,
Michael, would you move the mic up a little bit so we can hear you?
yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'd like to first of all thank you, sir. You made a promise to us that you would see someone put on that board ad hoc. And when you couldn't do it, you apologized. That's rare from a politician. I thank you for that. I sit here and I listen to all these people come up here and complain about things. It's because things in this world aren't right. You folks have the ability to change some things. And all you're doing is lip service. You're not doing anything. Act upon the things that need to be done. Take some initiative. Grow some balls. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the end of the public comment period. We do have a need for a closed session. Councilman Clark has a motion, I believe.
I move that the Winston-Salem City Council go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-31811A, 3 and 4, to A, discuss matters related to the location or expansion of an industry or business within the city limits, and B, consult with and provide instructions to the city legal staff regarding the legal matter, preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Closed session. Is there a motion to end the closed session?
Yes.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Clark, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Adams. Need one more. All those in favor of ending closed session, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
For adjournment.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mayor, Councilmember Burke. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.